latest stories across the globe and across Africa, live from our studio. Welcome to Standpoint on Nimrod Television. I am OPEYEMI Lasisi. First, the headlines. I'm going to be telling you today about South Korea's ruling party supporting the impeachment of President Yoon over martial law decision. And from there, we're going to look into Syrian fighters appointing Mohammed al-Bashir as the caretaker prime minister. And then we're going to be looking at those rebels destroying the tomb of Bashar al-Assad's father. Now we're going to move on to Trump appointing Kari Lake to lead Voice of America. Then from there, we're going to look into Israeli drones striking target Gaza aid convoy, killing 12 as hunger crisis worsen. Then lastly, we're going to be looking at Somalia and Ethiopia reaching agreement to resolve tensions as Turkey president announces. Now the news in details. The South Korea's ruling People Power Party, PPP, has officially backed efforts to impeach President Yoon Suk-yeol over his controversial decision to declare martial law, a move that sparked widespread public outrage and triggered the political crisis. The announcement came just moments before Yoon delivered a defiant speech on Thursday, where he attempted to justify his actions and dismissed growing calls from various political groups urging him to step down. Initially, the PPP had resisted impeachment, hoping that Yoon will resign voluntarily. However, after unsuccessful attempts to persuade him, the party leadership announced that impeachment was now the only viable option, while the PPP leader An Dong-un said suspending the president from his duties through impeachment is the only way for now to defend democracy and the republic. The opposition Democratic Party is preparing to introduce a new impeachment motion with a vote expected as early as Saturday, although Yoon had previously survived an impeachment attempt last weekend after PPP members boycotted the vote. While the PPP now backing impeachment and emphasized that party members were free to vote based on their personal beliefs and conscience, and that it believes that the party members will vote for the country and the people. The public outcry against Yoon's decision intensified, with calls for his impeachment coming from protesters and political leaders alike, while support within his own party and the military began to wane. In the wake of the declaration, police launched an investigation into Yoon and other senior officials on charges of treason. On Tuesday, lawmakers approved the appointment of a special counsel to investigate whether Yoon's action amounted to insurrection and abuse of power. Yoon has also been banned from leaving the country. The following day, South Korea police raided the presidential office, according to a security official, as part of the ongoing probe. Several officials close to Yoon have been reprimanded for their involvement in the martial law declaration. Now moving on to Syrian fighters who recently overthrew President Bashar al-Assad have appointed Mohammed al-Bashir as the country's caretaker prime minister. Al-Bashir, who previously headed the Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS-led de facto government in Idlib province, will lead the transitional Syrian government until March 1, 2025. His appointment was announced on Tuesday in a televised statement. Al-Bashir stated that the decision followed the meeting with members of al-Assad's government aimed at facilitating necessary work for the next 2 months until a constitutional system could be established, stating that they had a meeting for the cabinet and they invited members from the old government and some directors from the administration in Idlib and its surrounding areas in order to facilitate all the necessary works for the next 2 months until they have a constitutional system to be able to serve the Syrian people, adding that they had other meetings to restart the institution to be able to serve their people in Syria before the lightning offensive that led to the fall of Damascus and the ouster of al-Assad. Al-Bashir had been leading the Syrian Salvation Government in Idlib, an organization that oversaw the rebel-led northwest region. Al-Bashir is closely tied to HTS, the group that spearheaded the assault on Damascus, which also has strong links to the SSG. The SSG was established in 2017 to administer the Northwest rebel-held territories, providing governance, public services, and security in areas that were cut off from the Syrian government's reach. Al-Bashir had also served as development minister within the SSG before taking on his new role. The SSG has since begun rolling out aid in Aleppo, the first major city to fall from government control after the rebel offensive began. Al-Bashir's appointment was announced. There were signs of life returning to normal in Syrian capital with banks and shops reopening. However, the political development unfolded amid ongoing Israeli airstrikes targeting Syrian army bases. These attacks come after Assad forces collapsed in the face of the rebel advance that led to his removal. The Syrian conflict, which began as an unarmed uprising in March 2011, escalated into a full-scale war, drawing in foreign powers and causing immense loss of life, with hundreds of thousands killed and millions displaced. Now moving on to Syrian rebels. Syrian rebel fighters have destroyed the tomb of Hafez al-Assad, the late president and father of the ousted Bashar al-Assad, in the family's hometown of Kadaha, located in the coastal Latakia region. Verified videos obtained showed men chanting as they walked around the burning mausoleum. The rebels, led by the Islamist group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, launched a swift offensive across Syria that culminated into the overthrow of the Assad family's 54-year rule. Bashar al-Assad has fled to Russia, where he and his family have been granted asylum as part of the widespread Bashar al-Assad's brutal crackdown on a peaceful pro-democracy uprising in 2011 sparked the devastating civil war that has claimed more than 500,000 lives and displaced 12 million people. His father, Hafez al-Assad, ruled Syria with an iron fist from 1971 until his death in 2000, when power was passed to Bashar. Hafez was born and raised in an Alawite family, a minority sect of Shia Islam, primarily concentrated in the Latakia region. The Alawite family community, which makes up about 10% of Syria's population, was a strong supporter of the Assad family during their rule. Many Alawites now fear potential retaliation from the victorious rebels. On Monday, a rebel delegation consisting of members of HTS and the Sunni Muslim group Free Syrian Army met with Qadar elders and gained their support. According to Reuters, the group signed a document emphasizing Syria's religious and cultural diversity. HTS leader Abu Muhammad al-Julani, also known as Ahmed Sal-Shara, has pledged tolerance for various religious groups since severing ties with Al-Qaeda in 2016. The UN envoy to Syria has urged the rebels to translate their good messages into tangible actions on the ground. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken stated that Washington will recognize and support a future Syrian government, provided it emerges from a credible, inclusive, and Bashir chaired a meeting on Tuesday in Damascus with members of his new government and former Assad officials to discuss the transition of governmental responsibilities. Now moving on to Trump appointment. The President-elect Donald Trump has appointed Kari Lake, a former television news anchor and field candidate in both Arizona gubernatorial and Senate races, to head the state-funded global media organization Voice of America, VOA. The announcement made on Wednesday came as Trump prepares for his next administration and follows Lake's outspoken political career, including her controversial stances on immigration and a denial of the 2020 presidential election results. Trump stated that Lake would work closely with the yet-to-be-named head of the U.S. Agency for Global Media, USAGM, to ensure that VOA's broadcasts reflect American values of freedom and liberty, unlike the lies spread by the fake news media. In a post on his Truth Social platform, Trump further emphasized Lake's role in making VOA's broadcast fair and accurate. Lake expressed gratitude for the showcasing of America's achievement globally. Lake's political career has been marked by a refusal to concede after losing the Arizona gubernatorial race to Democrat Katie Hobbs in 2022, as well as a promotion of unsubstantiated claims of election fraud surrounding the 2022 presidential election. Her hardline views, especially regarding immigration, have attracted significant criticism. Yagyu Wang, the research director for China at the non-profit Freedom House, expressed concerns over Trump's appointment of late. He stated that VOA had been an essential source of human rights news, particularly for the Chinese-speaking global audience, and that its credibility could be at risk under Lake's leadership. VOA is not CGTN precisely because it does real journalism, Wang said, referring to China's state-run media outlet. VOA, funded by the U.S. Congress, operates in over 40 languages and claims a global audience of more than 354 million people each week. It broadcasts news on TV, radio, and online. During Trump's first term, reports of political interference at USAGM, including an investigation into VOA's White House bureau chief for alleged bias against Trump, which led to criticism from media freedom organizations who argued such actions violated the First Amendment and the statutory firewall meant to protect VOA. Now moving on to Israeli. An Israeli drone strike on a humanitarian aid convoy in the Gaza Strip has killed at least 12 people and left dozens more injured, according to reports. The attack, which took place on Thursday, targeted Palestinian security guards escorting the aid shipment in the southern part of the Gaza Strip. The medics and the local residents informed Reuters that at least 30 people were injured, including several in critical condition. A video shared by local Palestinian media in Gaza showed bodies identified as the security personnel who were guarding the convoy. Their bodies were reportedly found in a morgue in the area west of Khan Yunis. This attack marks the latest in a series of Israeli strikes on humanitarian workers, convoys, and individuals attempting to ensure the safe delivery of food and supplies into Gaza. The region is facing a severe hunger crisis, particularly in the northern parts, where ongoing Israeli military operations and the siege have exacerbated food shortages, raising fears of a looming famine. Just days earlier, on Sunday night, at least 10 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli airstrike in Rafah, located in the southern Gaza Strip, as they queued for flour. The Israeli military is yet to comment on the attack on the aid convoy's security personnel. Now moving on to Somalia and Ethiopia. Somalia and Ethiopia have reached a joint declaration aimed at resolving the dispute over the breakaway Somaliland region and Ethiopia's push for sea access. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan confirmed, speaking at a joint news conference in Ankara on Wednesday. Erdogan praised Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud and Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed for their historic reconciliation. Erdogan expressed hope that the government Turkish President Recep confirmed, speaking at a joint. Erdogan expressed hope that the agreement would mark a new beginning for peace and cooperation between the two nations, eventually enabling Ethiopia, the world's most populous landlocked country, to gain access to the sea. I believe this meeting will help, especially with Ethiopia's demand for sea access, and I trust my brother Sheikh Mohammed would offer the necessary support, Erdogan stated. The agreement, which focuses on the future rather than past disputes, lays out principles for cooperation between Somalia and Ethiopia. Erdogan later posted on his social media that the declaration will set the foundation for the two countries to build a prosperous future together. Tensions between Somalia and Ethiopia had escalated following a deal in January between Ethiopia and Somalia's breakaway region of Somaliland. The deal, which involved leasing a section of Somaliland coastline for an Ethiopian port and military base, sparked a diplomatic and military standoff. Somalia condemned the deal as a violation of its sovereignty, and the dispute grew in regional powers, including Ethiopia's rival, Egypt and Eritrea. Somaliland declared independence from Somalia more than 30 years ago, but is not recognized internationally. Somalia still claims Somaliland as part of its territory. Over the years, Somaliland has enjoyed a relatively stable political environment, while Somalia has continued to face instability due to ongoing security threats from Al-Shabaab militants. The two leaders arrived in Ankara earlier on Wednesday for the latest round of talks, following two previous meetings that had made little progress. According to the agreement released by Turkey, both sides have committed to moving forward by putting aside differences and cooperating toward mutual prosperity. They agreed to work on commercial arrangements and bilateral agreements to provide Ethiopia with reliable, safe, and sustainable access to the sea under Somalia's sovereign authority. The two countries will initiate technical talks by the end of February with a goal to complete them within 4 months, while any unresolved issue will be addressed through dialogue with Turkey's support if necessary. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy, speaking alongside Erdogan, emphasized that Ethiopia's desire for sea access was a peaceful initiative aimed at benefiting both nations. This is a venture that must be seen in the spirit of cooperation, not suspicion, he stated. Somali President Mohammed added that the agreement had put a halt to their differences and that Somalia was ready to work with the Ethiopian leadership and the Ethiopian people. Turkey has been meditating between Somalia and Ethiopia since July, leading discussions that have paved the way for this new agreement. Before I go, here is a recap of the headlines. South Korea's ruling party supports impeachment of President Bashir's decision, and then I move to Syrian fighters appointing Mohammed al-Bashir as caretaker Prime Minister, and then I moved to Syrian rebels destroying the tomb of Bashar al-Assad's father. Then I moved on to Trump appointing Carrie Lake to lead Voice of America. Until then, I moved to Israeli drones striking targets, Gaza aid convoy killing 12 as hunger crisis worsens, and then I moved to Somalia and Ethiopia reaching the agreement to resolve tensions, Turkish president announced. And that's all the time I have for you here on Standpoint. Thank you so much for choosing Nimrod Television. Stay with us for more updates. Thank you.